Eddie Doc McAnthony never set up a formal mentorship program. But when the former art professor opened a gallery of his own in Fort Worth, it became a springboard for local artists. McAnthony's multicultural studio and gallery is believed to be the city's first Black-owned gallery. It opened in the 1970s and is still in business today. Doc mentored Sedrick Huckaby, who in turn mentored Riley Holloway. KERA brought the three artists together to discuss the role of mentorship and the importance of finding your own voice.
My name is Sedrick Huckaby. I am a Fort Worth-based artist, and I do mostly traditional types of art, drawing, painting, sculpture, in multiple forms.
My name's Riley Holloway, based in Plano, Texas, and I'm a figurative painter and poet as well.
I'm Dr. Eddie McAnthony, artist, educator, period. That's it. Well, my mentor, John Biggers, I met him in 1953, and that was the year that I finished high school. The best thing that I can say about that is that he introduced me to a new way of looking at art. In those early days, I was doing artistic things in a way that kept me from realizing some things that I should have been able to understand sooner. The important thing at that particular time was finding a way to make the art that you make your art, if you understand what I'm saying.
Right.
And the thing about Dr. Biggers is he caused me to make my art, if that makes any sense. And it was one of those situations where you didn't have to be on a journey to know exactly where you were going. And the biggest problem that I had was because I love John Biggers' work so much, I wanted to paint like him. I thought that was the perfect way to paint. And it is a good way to paint. But you still have to come up with something that's yours, on your own. And he encouraged me more than anybody else to be me. Everything that I got from him, I can't even put it into words. But his enthusiasm about the way he worked, his sincerity about the way he worked.
And that's part of what I get from Dr. McAnthony here is, over the years, he has just been sort of solid in what he's done and just operating at a high calling. He wasn't satisfied with just teaching. He went on to get his doctorate. He didn't have to. He was already teaching at the college level.
Yeah,
right?
That's right. He
was already teaching at the college level, but decided to press on to get his doctorate. And it just reminded me of the way the older generation did it.
Yeah.
They would set up their own businesses. They would, when they did stuff, they just had a way of doing it that I watched Doc, and basically learning from him, it was more just like listening to him. Cause if you just sit around him long enough, he's going to say something that hits home. Yeah. And it's just little thing here and there. It's something I would just take it and hold on to it. And even right now, like with Kinfolk House, Doc said something. He was like, when I first wanted to set up my place, there was a number of people telling him he should set it up here and set it up there. And he made a statement that he wanted to do this thing so well, right where he was in the hood, that it would draw all people from all over the area into the hood to see it. That stuck with me.
Yeah.
And when I got ready to set up, do Kinfolk House, that's what I want. Yeah. Just what he said.
Yeah. Oh, that's where that came from.
Yeah.
As he said, when he was still in high school, he used to stop by the gallery, and we just talked. And I don't know what all we talked about, but we talked about a whole lot of stuff. Yeah. And it didn't have to do with art. But his enthusiasm about art, it didn't matter. I always took the time whenever he came by, and he'd just drop in from time to time, and to show his interest in art. But Yeah, he's absolutely right. People told me, you know, your gallery's nice, but you're in the wrong place, you know. Well, it's like I learned, and I don't know exactly where. I wish I could tell you exactly where, but I learned if people care about something, they don't mind going out of the way to try to find it. And then that makes for a story. When they find something in an out-of-the-way place, it doesn't matter about the area that you're in. People who love art, they're going to seek it out anywhere.
He's coming into it from a whole nother place. It's going to be interesting to hear it.
Yeah, because I think it's important to document, you know. Because, you know, early on, you do start mimicking artists that you admire. It's kind of a natural journey, you know, until you find your own voice.
Yeah.
Well, people, like you were saying, people will go to where the art is at.
Yeah.
You know, so when I did a project kind of detailing the history of South Dallas, and I had it at the South Dallas Cultural Center, and we had the artist talk at the South Dallas Cultural Center, and we had the show at the African American Museum, and a lot of the statements I got was a lot of people didn't even know how beautiful the space was, or had even been to the South Dallas Cultural Center, you know, but they went there because that's where art was, and that's where the interest was at the time, you know, and we got beautiful spaces there that's used for everybody, you know, but it's interesting to see like the parallels. And I understand, you know, like you get that experience from visiting his gallery and you're hoping to create that experience for somebody else. You know, that's a beautiful thing. So it's got me over here thinking, you know, like what my approach could be to that too.
And when did we first meet?
Man, I can't remember the year, but you had a solo show at Valley House at the time. Yeah. And I loved your work. And the first thing I asked was a picture of you for a painting that I wanted to do. But what struck me is the way you prioritized me. That's what struck me. Because you had everybody else wait for things you had to do so I can get this picture of you and for us to have a conversation. And I remember that being a big impression on me at the time. You know? So I always have like this sort of sense about people. You know? And with Sedrick, what you'll get is like faith, work ethic, storytelling, and your personal approach to your art, you know.
Let me ask y'all something. Maybe, I wonder if me and Riley ought to switch seats, and this, y'all tell me, but I'm thinking it because Riley naturally talks a little lower. It'll be easier for Doc to hear him, and I talk a little louder. What do you think? It's up to y'all. We can stay like.
And also speak up. So.
Well, I know you kind of naturally talk low. Yeah. You won't even naturally if you try to talk up.
True. I'll lean forward.
Okay.
We'll try that.
Right? I'm going to take my coffee rest.
Yeah.
That's cool. It's going to be interesting to see how that works.
I think I reframe Sedrick.
It's real life, though.
Exactly.
Good.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
First of all, early on, Dr. McAnthony was, you know, he was an artist. He owned his own gallery. He made art in that gallery. He showed the art of a number of other Black artists that I knew in my sort of spectrum of knowledge. And so as a young artist coming up, yeah, I had to go over, you know, I had to go over and talk to him and see, you know, what he had to say about art. And as you can see, all you got to do is talk to Doc for a little bit. And just sit there and listen because he has a lot to tell you. And if you're listening really well, you're going to pick up something that you need to know, especially as an artist.
Riley, what attracted you to Sedrick's work? You said you introduced yourself to him.
Yeah, you can really see and get a sense of the honesty that Doc was talking about, and the way he leans on his community and the way he glorifies certain figures in his community as well. You know, that kind of led me to want to be more useful with my artwork. So a lot of our conversations may not be about the painting process, but it'll be talks like that and other like career moves and things. But what I learned is that for me to lean heavy on the community. And so when there was things that I wanted to know about the community, that's where I took my artwork. So like I would go and interview people and do paintings of them. I would go and interview people about a space that they got a historical marker for and paint that and try to tell the story of, like South Dallas at the time. So, and I'm still kind of leaning on that now. I'm doing this project of like working on these churches that I talk his ear off about when we do call, each other. But he gives his time, big time. Like you were saying, like I'm seeing a lot of similarities and I'm learning a lot about him just by the way you talk about him and his approach with you. He gives that same thing that you gave him, those hours of just conversation.
Yeah.
And said, like, the works behind us with the Juneteenth, did that start with Opal? Like, how did you get inspired to do that and to seek out the spot in Mexico for that?
Juneteenth, I was sort of inspired to make work about Juneteenth before it was actually passed as a national holiday. And I hoped that some of my explorations would show the importance of Juneteenth. Like it wasn't just a Texas thing, but it's actually like national and internationally important. And the works that you see behind on the wall is a part of speaking about the international importance of Juneteenth. And that's where it started. And because of, with my work is very important, part of the exploration of it has to do with seeing myself, like not just getting pictures from somebody, but I needed to go there. I needed to be with the people. If I could work directly from them, that would be great because that tells me more than what could be learned through reading something. And I felt like once you get there, it makes it an authentic, historical, I don't want to say document, but statement. And that authentic historical statement, there's going to be things in this project that really speaks to it today and that is encapsulated in it that is not anywhere else because I didn't read it in somebody's book.
Yeah.
I found it in that community over there talking to people and drawing them. So it started with Juneteenth and like trying to talk about the importance of Juneteenth. And in my research, I discovered this community and I navigated and did what it took to, I met a person from the community and they introduced me to the whole community. And then I won a Fulbright that would fund me going over there to paint and draw them.
Yeah, that's what I love about projects like that, the exploration part. Like you have the initial idea and then that idea grows beyond you to stories you didn't even know, or neighborhoods that you didn't even know about. And now you're telling a story about that neighborhood too.
What I see in Sedrick's work is total honesty in terms of what it is he's trying to express. And that honesty comes from the fact that I knew him at an early age. And he has his sincerity about what he's doing has not changed from that time period. Because when we talked about other things, the artist still came through in terms of the way he expressed himself. Yes. And when that artistry comes through, to me, when you're talking about art, that excites me because I feel like this is somebody that's genuine. And like I started to say earlier, what I look for in individuals is honesty. Being who you are and not who you want to be or trying to be like somebody else. And the thing that I saw about Sedrick more than anything else is he was himself. He was honest about what we were talking about. And sometimes our conversation, I can't tell you how long they lasted. And it didn't matter what I was doing. The time that he came by, from the first time that he came by and said, "I'm Sedrick Huckaby. And I just wanted to come by and see your place." And I let him in and we started talking. And I don't know how long we talked the first time that we met. Yeah, we talked, looked like for ages. Because what he was talking about was something that I was interested in hearing. And I guess what I was saying was something he was interested in hearing. But his work is something that I can see the love and appreciation that he cares about what it is that he's trying to do, because it's a reflection of him. Whether he's here or not, it's still a reflection of him. And like this young man, I haven't seen his artwork yet, but whatever he's doing is still going to be a reflection of him. Do you see? Yes, just like people may not know a whole lot about me now, and it's okay. I can live with it. But the thing of it is what I do, somewhere, someday, some people will be talking about what McAnthony was able to do.
So I think Doc's influence is just sort of woven into the way I think. It's probably like everything else. First of all, I wouldn't be doing paper mache if it wasn't for Doc, because he's the one I learned it from. And I used to do sculpture all the time, but smaller, because I was making sculpture from paint. But I probably wouldn't be making large sculptures, because like the method that he uses, it allows for me to make large scale sculpture without it being so costly that I couldn't do it. I've learned a lot from his example, just like we've been listening to him today. I feel a real sense of like, what do you call it? Being sort of knowing where I fall in a line of history. In our local area, there was Black artists here before I came. That's one of them. I'm here right now, and Riley comes along at some point during that journey, and I'm pushing Riley, and we're all in a certain line going in a certain direction. And with the example that you see in my own mind, I can connect to a larger art history through that. He learned from John Biggers. John Biggers, his mentor was Charles White. And knowing those types of things in my own mind, I fit myself into that whole sort of stream of art history. And I follow it right to this city, right to where we are. And, you know, I take a pride in that. Like, I really enjoy who I am. And so some of the things I've learned, it's woven into the way I think. It's woven into my art. The whole thing we talked about with craftsmanship. But not just that, it's a lot of other things that I probably couldn't, it'd be hard for me to just stop and articulate. But, you know, it would be a great study to look at the generations that came before and generations that come after. Some things you see curl back around, but I'm glad for today, because I think that it just shows a certain continuity. There was a kind of tenacity that Dr. McAnthony had to have. I don't even think he thought of it that way. I don't think he thought he was tenacious. I don't think he thought about it. I think he thought, how do I go about doing what I'm trying to do? But if you think about it, you know, Black artists coming up during the time when he was making art and believing that they can make art and that art was important and that they were going to do it, and that I can be a professor, and that I can be a teacher, and all of the things that he's saying, you know, that is pretty like tenacious. And so, you know, I learned a lot. I think it's just woven into a lot of what I do. And I think that's the simple answer.
Well, the thing that encouraged me to keep going more than anything else, the simplest way I could put that is my love for it. I've always had this affection for pictures and beautiful things. Not so much sculpture, but for pictures on the wall, which is what I wanted to be in the beginning, was a picture maker. And that's what I called it. I wanted to make pictures. Do you see? But after I found out about artists, then I started to recognize other things that were important to do. I didn't decide to go into education. I didn't think that I was bright enough to be a teacher. I didn't think that I was smart enough. And I used to admire teachers because I thought that they were so special in terms of what they were doing. And I said, oh, Lord, I said, if I had to do this, I couldn't do this in front of a class. But when I went to college, and I was fortunate, lucky, blessed enough, however you want to put it, to meet an advisor. And he said, what do you want to do? I said, I'm going to be an artist. I said, I'm going to be the greatest black artist that ever was. He said, oh, that sounds so good. He said, but first of all, why do you want to be the greatest black artist? I said, well, because I'm black. He said, well, yeah. He said, there are a whole lot of artists out there. He said, well, why you going to limit yourself to just a black artist? And then I thought about it. I said, well, that is kind of, I hadn't thought about it. I said, well, that is kind of narrowing it down a little bit. I said, yeah, I'm just going to be the world's greatest artist. I hadn't thought about Michelangelo or some of these other folks.
All right.
So I just decided I'd do that. And as we continued to talk, he said, why don't you, you can still be the greatest artist in the world if you want to. Say, but why don't you take an education? I said, oh, no, I don't fool no education. I said, I just want to deal with art. He said, well, he said, you know what? He said, I really believe what you say. He said, but you know what? He said, I think until you become this big name, famous, known artist, he said, I think you could take an education course, and you probably could teach some courses to help yourself make a living. I said, make a living? Yeah, I said, oh, I'm already working for them. He said, yeah, but you may not want to do the kind of work that you're doing now all of your life. He said, and besides, he said, before you become a big name and famous, he said, teaching would be a lot easier than what you're doing right now. Don't you think? And I said, yeah, well, it could be. He said, why don't you just, he said, you still do the same thing and all. He said, why don't you take art education? I said, okay, I'll take art education. So I just went on and took art education, you know. And I really wasn't thinking that I was going to ever be a teacher. Because truly, deep down inside, I didn't think that I had the not so much the qualification, but I didn't think I had the type leadership abilities that I thought a teacher should have. But evidently I must have, because I didn't know about these qualities that I had in me.
I think it's the push that he was talking about, you know, like seeing them talk. I see where a lot of our talks have gone. One of the things with Sedrick that helped a lot was I had a point where I was feeling a little aimless. I was just painting portraits just to be painting portraits. And he told me, there's a statement that stuck, was to lean fully into who you are. And he gave this story about being in school and painting these sinks. Right? He's doing paintings of different sinks, and how he combated that instructor who was questioning, why are you painting these sinks? You know? And so it kind of gave me this push and permission to explore anything that I wanted to explore. You know? And so, and in that, I found out that, okay, I'm not just a portrait painter. What I love doing is telling stories, right? I'm a storyteller, whether that's about the neighborhood or about historical Black churches, and how I can be useful in that sense. You know, so that was a huge push. And I think that I might have been still floating around here trying to figure out, feeling like the sky is falling down, if I didn't have that sort of mentorship. And I wouldn't get that type of mentorship if he didn't get that type of mentorship from Doc, you know? So I think that's a direct correlation. And I think our ability now to kind of self-publish, you know, through social media has been a big thing. And so I'm interested to see like how that continues to develop, you know, because that's helped me a lot, being able to self-publish, especially before I got signed to any galleries. You know, me and my wife were just looking for ways for me to just show work and to tell stories, because that's just how much I love making work, but also presenting it too. You know.
I want to see more people feel empowered to pursue art as a career. Doing that is daunting. In our day and age, maybe even in Doc's day and age, are artists no way, no how. And many parents will even tell young people today, if a young person tells their parents, well, I want to go to college for art, a lot of those parents will turn around and say, well, no, we're not paying for that. You need to go to college for something that's real or whatever it is. And art is real. A career in art is real. And I want to see more people feel empowered to do that. And that's what that's what education should do. It should give people the understanding of how to do that. So that's what I want to see education do. That's what I want to see more artists do. I want to see more people feel like they can go into this. They can actually do it. It's not a wish. It's not a hope, but it's a thing that if you worked at it and if you applied certain things that can be learned, that you can do it. And that's important to me because I've seen so many people looking at a career in art. They love art from the age of a child growing up. But then when they really look at it, they think that's not an achievable thing. You can't do that.
The thing that I would like to see is those people who have special talents in whatever area that they are in, to put emphasis on those talents and give it the best that they can do. It's like I was always taught, anything that's worth doing is worth doing well. Do it the best that you can. If you're going to be a painter, be the best that you can be. If you're going to be a sculptor, be the best that you can be. If you're going to be a teacher, try to be the best one that you can be. If you're gonna be a ditch digger, like Martin Luther King said, be the best ditch digger that you can be. Whatever it is that you decide that you're going to do because it's a part of your life, do it the best that you can do so that whenever somebody sees that you've done, they want to ask the question, who did this? Mm-hmm. You only live this life one time. And I tell anybody, you can say what you want to say about me, good or bad. But God gave me this life to live it the best that I know how to live. And that's what I'm going to do. And that's what I would share with anybody. Whatever area you're in, whatever your genre might be, try to be the best at it that you can possibly be.